All right. This week's Parsha is Parsha's Korach. And I heard a very interesting insight from a podcast of Lord Jonathan Sachs. And to embellish his idea, we're going to start with the following. And this insight will be, after we do this insight, then we will explain the Parsha. From the Parsha, we will learn the title of our class, which is How to Convince the Masses in One Night. And then we will apply the ideas that we learned from the Parsha to the current events. So we start with the Lord Jonathan Sachs's idea, but first we're going to embellish it with the Rambam in Hilchas Isurei Bia, Perek Yutes, halacha number 17. And the Rambam says like this. The Rambam says, in the middle of the halacha. Actually, let's start from the beginning of the halacha. He says, all families have an established chazaka that they are kosher. That's what the Rambam says. It is permissible to marry these families without issue. Welcome, David and Sanford. So we just started. If you see two families that are fighting with each other, tamid. If you see a family that is always fighting with everybody, or you see a man, a person, is always starting a fight with everyone, and he's brazen. We perhaps maybe suspect that these are attributes that disqualify him from marriage. We're afraid that maybe he's not really Jewish. And also anybody who disqualifies other people continually. He says that family is not good. He says, for example, that they are mamzerim, they are bastards, they come from a marriage, from illicit relationships. Person like this, who always accuses everyone else, if he himself accuses people of being slaves or being bastards, being mamzerim, we suspect that maybe he is a slave, maybe he is a mamzer. Because anybody who disqualifies somebody with some kind of accusation of who they are probably attesting to themselves. That's probably a problem that they have, which is, this Rambam is based upon the Gemara in Kiddushin on page 78. The Gemara says that Shmuel says, Kol HaPoisol and Mumu Apostle, that person, whoever disqualifies somebody, we suspect that maybe he has that issue. That's what the Rambam says. The Rambam adds, which is based upon a Gemara in Yavamis, the Rambam adds other things about people who are mean. But this is the main point that we want to say. This is the main point, that when somebody makes an accusation against someone else, they are automatically suspect that the accusation that they are making is really a reflection of themselves. In other words, they are projecting the issue that they have on somebody else and accusing them of that. So if a person accuses somebody of being a slave, for example, the Rambam's example is, we suspect that maybe that person himself is a slave. Maybe that person himself is the mamzer. Maybe that person himself is whatever it is that they're accusing somebody else of being. Having this in mind, we don't need to look at the commentaries. Not even Rashi, says Rabbi Sachs. He didn't say this part, he didn't look at the commentaries, but we see clear from the text. Korach is telling us what his agenda is. Korach says, let's open the Parsha and read it. Korach is telling us his agenda. Korach says, Vayikach, the Parsha says, Vayikach Korach ben Yitzhak ben Koz ben Levi v'dasim v'aviram b'nei Aliyah v'oin ben Pelas b'nei Ruvain. Korach came with all these people. Vayakumu l'fnei Moshe. They stood in front of Moshe v'anoshim b'nei Yisrael chamishim masayim. There were 250 people in the Siya'ida that were leaders of the congregation. Kuri Moed Shishim, important people. Vayikalu Moshe v'Aaron v'Yom aleim rav lechem. Listen to the words carefully. They said to Moshe, you have too much. The whole congregation is Kadosh, Hashem. Hashem is amongst them. Umadua, and he has other words in italics and bold. Korach says to Moshe, Umadua tisnasu al kahal Hashem. Why do you raise yourself on the congregation of Israel? Korach is accusing Moshe of doing what? Korach is accusing Moshe of usurping his leadership for his own personal benefit, not to help the congregation, not to be a leader, to lead them to the literally and figuratively to the promised land, but Korach is accusing Moshe of having a goal of tisnasu al Hashem, of raising himself above the congregation. This is the accusation that he is saying. And according to what we just said, Korach is telling us what he wants. Korach is telling us his agenda. He wants to raise himself above the congregation. He wants to be the most important person in the crowd. He doesn't want to lead. He wants to take. He wants to take for himself what? Rising above the congregation. Power. That's what Korach wants. And Dasim Vaviran also say it. When they say it, why don't we believe them? They say it straight up. When Moshe Rabbeinu sends for Dasim Vaviram, what's their response? What do they say? They say, Vayishlach Moshe lekroya ledasim v'aviram. Moshe called the Dasim and Aviram b'nei Aliyah v'yomer lo nala. They said, we're not coming. We're not coming. We're not going to meet with you. Hama'aki lisanu me'eretz Mitzrayim zvazcholav v'dvash. You took us out of Mitzrayim. And it was beautiful there. It was fantastic. It's like I used to, when I was a kid, I was living in an apartment. The next door neighbor, she was from Russia, just like me. She said it was great in Russia. It was so fantastic there. I loved it. She loved the communist country. She loved it. It was beautiful. She was here in America. But Russia was better. This is what Dasan Aviram said to Moshe, you took us out of Mitzrayim. Lamidbar, Bamidbar, Bamisenu, Bamidbar, to kill us in the desert. That's what you did here. And here they say it straight up. What is their claim? Ki historer aleinu gam historer. What are you doing? You are ruling over us. Not only did you take us out to kill us, we were living in a beautiful place. We were living in Mitzrayim. We were in Russia. It was so wonderful there with the communists. But not only that, now you want to have power over us. So according to what we just said, Das and Vaviran are telling us what they want. They want to have power over the Jewish people. They're accusing Moshe of something that he didn't do that they would like to do. Whoever accuses somebody of nefarious behavior, they themselves are suspect of that behavior themselves. And this is what Rabbi Sachs said. We know the famous Mishnah in Pirkei Avos, Ethics of Our Fathers, chapter 5. Mishnah says, "Kol machloike shein l'shem shamayim soifer l'искayim." Any machloikes, any dispute that is l'shem shamayim is for the sake of heaven will endure. V'shein l'shem shamayim, and it's not for the sake of heaven, ain't soifer l'искayim. It's not going to endure. Ezi machloike shein l'shem shamayim. What's a machloikes that's for the sake of heaven? Zu machloikes hil v'shamay. That's the dispute of Hil and Shammai. V'shein l'shem shamayim. and it's not for the sake of heaven. Zu machlokes Korach v'Adosai. This is the dispute of Korach and Adosai. Korach did not have a name for the sake of heaven. Rabbi Sachs there explains why that's the case. But the simple answer is he didn't have for the sake of heaven because he was telling us. Korach wanted power. It's straight up in the pasuk. The accusation that he was making against Moshe and Aaron was an accusation that in itself revealed what they themselves wanted, what their goal was. Their goal wasn't for the benefit of the people. Their goal wasn't leadership. Their goal was power. And they said it in the accusation. This is a machlokes shelo l'shem shamayim. For this, they started a dispute with Moshe. For this, they challenged Moshe. For this, they started a machlokes in order to get the power. Ad Khan, the Lord Rabbi Sachs's words in the podcast. So now it becomes so obvious. This parsha is so simple. It's so obvious. We have no questions. The question that we do have is that how is it possible that if Korach's intentions were so overt, they were so clear to any casual observer, to any person who has read Psychology for Dummies, could tell what he was doing? How is it possible? How is it possible that Korach succeeded in convincing everybody to go along with him? The logic of his argument was flawed. There was no logic to his argument. The logic, if you looked at the facts, you looked at the situation, you observed Moshe Rabbeinu's behavior, you were at Har Sinai, you knew that Korach was biased and had an agenda that he wanted power. And yet, the Rashi tells us, Rashi says, the pasuk says in pasuk verse number 19, Vayakil aleim Korach, Korach gathered on them as kol ha'eda, the whole congregation of Pesach Oil Moed, to the entrance of the Oil Moed, Vayira Kvod Hashem al kol ha'eda, and the honor of Hashem appeared to the whole Ha'eda. What does it mean that he gathered them all together? They were all there. They were all there on his side. They came with him. They were standing behind him. They were wearing Korach t-shirts. It said Korach 2021. 2020 Korach. They were wearing Korach t-shirts, banners, whistles. They brought the kids. What did Korach do in one night to get them all on his side? How did it happen? Says Rashi. B'divrei latzanis. He told them scoffing things. He scoffed. Kol halayla, the entire night. Hahu hoylachetz lashvatim. He went to the tribes. Upita oisam. He seduced them. Kisfurim atem sha'al levadi ani makpid. What do you think? That this is all about me? Korach said, you think this is all about me? You think it's because I want power? You think that I have ulterior motives? Said Korach, no. That's not true. Says Rashi. Ani makpid, eini makpid, ela bishvil kulchem. I'm doing this for you. Korach said, this is for you. Eilu boyim v'noitem kol hagadlus lo hamalchus v'lachiv hakuna shenispatu kulam. Moshe Rabbeinu is taking the kingship. He's taking the monarchy. And Aaron is taking the priesthood. He's taking the kahuna. There's nothing left for us. What is there left? You think it's about me, that I want to be instead of them? He's leaving nothing for you. Zero. Now, this argument that Korach said is nonsensical. No. any thinking person would say to Korach, look how much Aaron has sacrificed. Look how much Moshe has sacrificed. The Ribbonish Shalom is behind him. What do you think? He's doing this for himself? He's a pristine character. He's a man of honor. He's the most humble man. Your accusation has no basis. It makes no sense. Logic. The facts. How does Korach overcome the facts? This should have been over before it even started. The key is in Rashi's words. Listen to what we read in the Rashi. Rashi does not say that he convinced them with arguments. Zakt Rashi, Upita oisam. He seduced them. Seduction? That's the word you use? Rashi uses it twice. Upita oisam, Zakt Rashi. Shemispatu kulam. He seduced them and they were seduced. That's the language you use. You should have said they had a debate. They had an intellectual argument. They brought proofs on every side. Everybody had a lawyer. They brought the scholars to argue. They wrote books, articles. They presented the facts and let the facts speak for themselves. Rashi doesn't say that. Rashi doesn't say that Moshe Rabbeinu came out victorious in his arguments. A fact. Rashi says that they were seduced. What does that mean, that they were seduced? It means that a Korach, what does seduction mean? You appeal to the emotion. You appeal to the feelings of the object of your seduction. Korach didn't bother to argue facts. Korach didn't bother with logic. Korach went after their feelings. Korach went after how they feel about the situation. We know the Gemara in Sanhedrin. The Gemara in Sanhedrin says, we know that this is what the wife of Korach said to Korach. What did she say to him? 110a. The Gemara says in Sanhedrin. She said to him, Chazi maka Ovid Moshe. Let's look to see what Moshe is doing here. She said, Ihu Malka, he's going to be the king La'ach for Shabe Kahana. And to his brother he gave the priesthood, the kahuna. Look what's going to happen. He's going to be the ruler. And you're going to have to give him all the tithes. You're going to have to give him the truma. You're going to have to give him the bikurim. You're going to have to give him challah, meiser. You're going to have to give him all these gifts from the animal. They're enumerated in Baba Kama 110b. That every kohen gets from every single carbon. Not only is he going to control you, he's going to make the rules. He's going to enforce those rules. Not only that, but he's going to tax you. And guess who keeps the taxes? His brother. His brother's going to get a piece of your hard work. His brother's going to get a piece of your toil, of your effort that you deserve, that should be for you. While he's going to sit there and do nothing. What kind of appeal is this? This is not an intellectual appeal. This is not an argument of logic and fact. This is an emotional appeal. It's not fair. Look what he's doing. It's unjust. There is an injustice being done here. There is discrimination against you. He is going to give himself privilege, the privilege of the monarchy, the privilege of the priesthood. And you're going to have to pay homage to him and give him gifts and taxes while he tells you what to do, where to go, what laws to keep. This is what Rashi is saying. He seduced them. They were seduced because when they heard this argument, they said, you know what? Korach has a point. Korach has a point. This is unfair. That's not the way it should be. We were all created equal. In the image of God, B'Tselem Elokim, as it says in Bereshis. Why should he make himself special more than anybody else? And when they were seduced, they forgot about the facts. You see, Korach knew that the facts don't care about your feelings. But Korach also knew that the feelings don't care about the facts either. Korach knew that when you appeal to a person's emotion and you seduce them, the factual arguments wither on the vine. They disappear. Moshe Rabbeinu can stand and hold his breath until he turns blue and explain to them all the facts. It's not going to matter because they're not listening. It doesn't help to be right. It doesn't help to have logic and facts on your side when the feelings are lost. This is what Korach knew. So it was easy to seduce everyone. All he had to do was reach their hearts. All he had to do was appeal to their emotion. And he was a success at that. That's how you convince the masses. That's how you see. You look on the street today and you see people doing things that don't make logical sense against the facts. And all the intellectuals out there are standing and saying, explaining how nonsensical their behavior is, how they don't make any sense, how they're wrong about what they're doing, how their arguments are contradictory. But they don't hear it. They don't hear any of it. You know why? Because the feelings don't care about the facts. They are seduced. Their hearts have been taken. And the Torah knows this. Of course the Torah knows this. The Gemara tells us in Tractate, listen to our Gemara. The Gemara tells us in Tractate Sanhedrin on page 106b. The Gemara says, 106b, Doeg v'achi toifel, who were evil people. Not for now to discuss what they did. They were evil people, but they learned a lot of Torah. Zok the Gemara, Amar Ravami, Arba Meir boy Doeg v'achi toifel, Doeg and achi toifel asked 400 questions. The Migdal Aparech Ba'avir, in a tower that flies in the air. Rashi here struggles to explain what that is even. And they didn't have an answer for even one of the questions. Like Rashi, what are we talking about? One explanation, Rashi says, they asked 400 questions as to why there is a little crown on the letter Lamed. Another explanation, Rashi says, what happens if a person is in a box and they go into a field which is tameh, which is impure? Is the tumah carried? Another explanation is about kishuf, about magic. They asked 300 questions about this. 400 questions about this without an answer. This is how much Torah they learned. Not only did they learn everything that we know, the entire Shas, the entire Tanakh, but they also asked these questions. Zok to Gemara, Amar Rava, listen to a Gemara. Amar Rava, Ribusa, you're telling me that a Russia knows how to learn Torah? So what? So what if he knows how to learn Torah? So what? Ribusa lemivoi boy, says Rashi. What does that mean? Is there an advantage to the person who asks questions v'lilmod Torah and learns Torah? Is there such an advantage to such a person? Rahman Aliba boy, the Torah wants the heart of a person. It's not enough to have facts. It's not enough to have the halachas, the laws. It's not sufficient. The Gemara says because in the times of Rabbi Yehuda, all they did is learn only one section of the Talmud, Nizikin, damages. That's it. When they reached Uktzin is the Masechta in Taharis that deals with yados, that deals with handles on fruit and vegetables, whether they transfer tumah or not. When they reached Uktzin, they used to say that we see a lot of questions about Rav and Shmuel, but they didn't know what the questions of Rav and Shmuel were. Va'anan says Rava says we have 13 yeshivas that deal with just the tractate Uktzin. We have more learning than Rabbi Yehuda had. But Rabbi Yehuda, when there was no rain, when there was a drought, all he did was take off his shoes. Took off a shoe and it started to rain. And we who learn more Torah, we scream the entire day. And Hashem does not answer us, it doesn't rain, the drought continues. We learn more Torah than Rabbi Yehuda, and Rabbi Yehuda gets answered. Why? Says the Gemara, says Rava. El HaKadosh Baruch Hu liba boy. The Rabbanu Shalom wants the heart of a person. It's not enough to know the Torah. It's not enough to be it's not enough to be empowered with logic and facts and rule. The Torah wants the heart. Why? Because without the heart, those facts and rules are meaningless. You want to daven that it should rain, it won't rain. You want to succeed in learning Torah, you won't. You're not going to succeed.
There's something wrong with the sound.
My sound is working, so maybe it's on your side, Khani. I'm not sure. Try again.
I don't know.
You can listen to the recording if you missed some of it.
Okay.
All right. Anyway, so I didn't check the chat. If anybody has questions on the chat, you're welcome to put them in, or you could just unmute yourself. We're not that many people today, and you can ask the question. But we'll continue now. So the Torah wants the heart. Why? Because the Torah knows what Korach knew. The Torah knows that the facts are not enough. The feelings matter. And the feelings supersede the facts. and arguments of logic will not work. This is what Korach knew. Now, the Gemara, at this we should really end with the class. We're not ready to end yet because there's another point that we have to explain. But this is why when we deal, for example, with our kids, we explain to them the importance of washing the dishes, cleaning up after ourselves. We tell them facts, we tell them logic. They don't always hear us. They don't always understand. Why? Because they feel about the issue some other thing. If we're unable to identify, as we discussed last week, the paradigm in which they live, what they're feeling about it, we can't reach their feelings, we can't reach their hearts. Our logic falls on deaf ears. Not even that, but the common experience is that the children think they know more than us. Their feelings drive them so far that they think they can lecture us about what really life is all about. Same thing in today's discussion, in today's discourse. We have a tremendous machloikis. The very foundation of the country is challenged. Facts are not enough. There needs to be positive feelings. There needs to be a reaching of the heart. There needs to be an inspiration. The side that has the facts will not win, because the side that has the feelings will not listen. If we have the best interest in mind of ourselves, our friends, our neighbors, our fellow citizens, then we have to create a positive model to strive for, that's not only factual, that makes sense, that's logical, but also is inspiring, that feels good, something that people can latch onto, look forward to. So the question that we have left, though, is, well, which is it? The facts or the feelings? It's true the facts don't care about your feelings, but your feelings don't care about your facts. That's also true. How do we put these two things together? Because we know that facts are real. You know, if you do a mathematical equation and you're off by a few numbers, that could be a life and death situation. That could be an explosion of a rocket. That could be a derailing of a train. That could be disastrous because facts represent reality. If you measure the door too small, you won't be able to get the furniture out through the door. That's a fact. But feelings are also real. Feelings are real to the one that feels them. In their mind, in their emotion, feelings are real. They're actually feeling those feelings. They're sad, they're happy, they're inspired, they're depressed. And each one trumps the other. The facts overwhelm the feelings, and the feelings overwhelm the facts. So the answer to this question is the pasuk that the Gemara quotes, the Gemara in Sanhedrin that we are discussing. The Gemara says, how do you know that the Torah wants the heart? The Gemara says, because it says in Shmuel 1, chapter 16, it says that Shmuel Hanavi came to find a successor for Shaul, because Shaul's monarchy was taken away by Hashem. And Shaul Shmuel was looking for the children of Yishai. Shmuel was looking for the children of Yishai, and he couldn't figure out which child it should be. Which one of the children should be the successor? Which one should be the king? And Hashem was in communication with Shmuel while he was trying to decide who this was. I don't have the, I think my Tanakh is misprinted. So I don't have the actual text. But the Gemara says, the Gemara quotes the Tanakh. Hashem said to Shmuel, I know that you think that this fellow should be, if I'm not mistaken, it was Eliu, Yishai's son. But for Hashem, Yirol Levav, Hashem doesn't look at the appearance of the person. Instead, Hashem looks at the heart of the person. And I could see in the heart of this person that he's not roy, he's not fit to be a king. David HaMelech is the one who's fit to be the king. King David is the one who's fit to be the king. And eventually what happens is that David is being appointed the king because Hashem said that he looked in his heart. And he thought that he was qualified to be the king. And the rest, as they say, is history. So here we have I saw in the Journal of Jewish Thought, Spring, Summer, 57-51, Volume 1, Number 2. The article is The Anointment of King David by Yeshua Bakrak. Rudy with beautiful eyes. This is what the article says. So here on page 54, he discusses why David HaMelech, why King David was qualified to be the king. And he quotes the Sha'arei Orah that says the following. It follows that the wicked Asa was heir to the sword of bloodshed, while King David of blessed memory inherited the kingdom to perform acts of loving kindness and mercy and to kill according to the law. Therefore, when David would don the attribute of Rudy, he would fight the battles of God against the enemies of God. And he did not withdraw his sword unused. And when he would don the attribute of beautiful eyes, quote unquote, he would provide for Israel and generously mete out acts of loving kindness to them. And when he would don the attribute of good looking, he would delve into the depths of halacha and secrets of the Torah. King David had 3 attributes. He was a killer, he was kind, and he was an expert in halacha. Says the Sha'arei Orah that Hashem saw in David HaMelech's heart. He saw that he is able to streamline, to use all of these 3 attributes properly. He was able to kill when killing needed to be done. He was able to be kind when kindness needed to be done. And he was able to learn when learning needed to be done. Here the author in note number 14 explains, and this is the point to answer our question of how do we streamline feelings with facts. Editor's note, in note number 14, he says, David's ability to disperse justly both compassion and vengeance contrasts vividly with Chazal's indictment of King Shaul for unjustly showing compassion to Agag. Shaul was supposed to kill Agag, the king of Amalek. But in that moment, instead of being cruel, which he was supposed to be, he was kind and he saved him. And then he showed cruelty to Nov, the city of Nov that harbored David HaMelech. At that moment, he was supposed to be kind. And instead of being kind, he was cruel, the city of priests. The character of King David, of David HaMelech, was an indictment on Shaul HaMelech. the character of King David was diametrically opposed to the character of Shaul HaMelech. As a matter of fact, in that note, he says that we should see Eruvin 53a and Sanhedrin 93b, where King David's ability to derive a halachically appropriate conclusion is contrasted with King Shaul's deficiency in this area. Not only did King Shaul did not know when to be kind, when to be cruel, but also he was unable to come to proper halachic conclusions. And King David was able to come to proper halachic conclusions. Shaul HaMelech, I don't want to say this, that he's the example, but Shaul HaMelech elicited attributes that are characteristics of our society today in 2020. Yes, feelings are important. As a matter of fact, they're paramount. Yes, facts are important. As a matter of fact, they're paramount. But when the feelings are misappropriated, when they are done at the wrong time, when one shows compassion at the wrong time, or when one is cruel at the wrong time, they are being cruel. And when one does not know how to properly think, then they will come to the wrong conclusion. Feelings are important and facts are important. But the feelings are supposed to be streamlined with the facts. I'll give an example that has nothing to do with this. Of course, it's central to our lives as men to love women. And it's central to our lives as women to love men. That's how you have a relationship with love. But only when it's appropriate. In the context of marriage, for example. If one has it out of context of marriage, then it's inappropriate. It doesn't mean the feelings of love are not there. It just means that the expression of those feelings or the utilization of those feelings in the wrong contexts is destructive. It doesn't mean that those people who say that they have feelings of compassion, who say that they want to help the world, they want to help society, that their feelings are not real necessarily. But if they are misapplied, if they are applied without facts, without logic, in the wrong place, then those feelings, that compassion becomes cruelty. This is what Korach exploited. Korach exploited the feelings of the people to override the facts of Moshe Rabbeinu. What did Moshe Rabbeinu do? What was Moshe Rabbeinu's solution? Did he sit everybody down? Did he lecture everyone? He was, arguably speaking, the biggest scholar on the planet. He could have just written a book, proved them all wrong, like Socrates, sit them down and show them that everything that they say is a contradiction. That's not what Moshe Rabbeinu did. Now we understand what happens at the end of the parsha. What did Moshe Rabbeinu do? Right, Pasuk Chabes. Chapter Pasuk Chabes, verse number 22. Vayonach Moshe es hamatos lefnei Hashem. Moshe took the staffs, the 12 staffs in front of Hashem. Ba'oil ha'edus. Vayim mochras, and it was in the morning. Vayovo Moshe el oil ha'edus, and Moshe Rabbeinu came to the oil. V'hine porach mate Aaron. What happened to the staff of Aaron? Lebeis Levi. It flourished. It flowered. Vayotis perach, and there was a fruit. Vayotis tzitz vayigmol shkedim. There were nuts that grew out of the staff. Vayoytei Moshe kol amatis milifnei Hashem, and Moshe took out all of the staffs in front of Hashem, called Bnei Israel, and to all the Jewish people, Vayiru, and they saw Vayikhu Eshes Mateu. We can ask, if we didn't study for the last 40 minutes, 45 minutes, we can ask, what kind of cheap trick is this? Moshe Rabbeinu making a staff grow flowers, grow nuts, whatever it is, to prove that Aaron is the one, the chosen. That's how you do it. Make a little magic show. Show them how the nuts grew out of the staff to prove that Aaron. Let them argue with it. Let Moshe Rabbeinu prove it to them. Let Hashem come out from the heavens and declare that Aaron is the chosen one. What's with this trick? But according to everything that we are saying, when you see the staff flower, blossom, what happens? It goes to your core. It goes to your feelings. Moshe Rabbeinu knew that facts are going to be superseded by the feelings because they were already, as Rashi said, seduced. Therefore, in order to overcome Korach's claim, Moshe Rabbeinu had to appeal to their feelings, to their emotions, to inspire them that Aaron is the blossoming of the Jewish people. Once that happens, now we can talk facts. So if we want to appeal to the young people today, we want to win them over with logic and facts about history, about methodology, about understanding, about the proper way to do things, about success, about construction and not destruction. It's not enough just to scream and yell how ridiculous they are, how wrong they are, how they don't make any sense. What we need to do is create a model that's inspiring. We need to appeal to their emotions and their feelings. And once we grasp at their heartstrings, then we can explain them the facts. And until then, they won't listen. And Moshe Rabbeinu understood this. Moshe Rabbeinu understood that even though Korach revealed his intentions, he said it straight up, I want power. Moshe Rabbeinu understood that even though Korach looked ridiculous, he was going to win over the people because he was going to appeal to their emotions. And the only way to win this argument is to compete in that arena, powered by the facts. This is the example of David HaMelech, a perfect confluence of facts and feelings. David HaMelech knew when to learn. David HaMelech knew when to kill. And David HaMelech knew when to be kind. Perhaps, maybe, the kids have something on us. Not consciously, but subconsciously. Are we really feeling the facts? We know we're right. We know the logic is there. We know the halachas of the Torah. But are we feeling it? Because as the Gemara says in Sanhedrin, HaKadosh Baruch Hu liba boy, the Rabbanu Shalom wants our heart. Does he have our heart? This is the question that we have to ask. And this is the question that Korach is asking us. Does the Rabbanu Shalom have our heart? Or is our heart not into it? Is our heart somewhere else? That's what I wanted to share with everybody this evening. If you have any questions, please ask. And if not, we will conclude here and have a good Shabbos.
Thank you, Rabbi. Good Shabbos.
Okay.
Thanks, Rabbi.
Thanks for
Bye,
Shabbos.
everybody.
Thanks, Rabbi.
Shabbos, everybody.
Shabbos.
Shabbos.
See you, Rabbi. See you,
Okay,
David.
I'll see you. So
Bye.
I'll end the meeting. Okay. Good night, everybody. Shabbos.
Good night.